What's good? What's good? What's up, everybody? As I get a few sets in before we get started on this show. All right. Get a few of these sets in before we get started a little bit. Glad y'all tuning in. Shout out to y'all. Here we go. Thank y'all for coming in, man. Thank y'all for coming in. Thank y'all for watching the podcast. Thank everybody for listening, those who listen on the listening platforms. As y'all see on the screen, all the places you guys can listen to this podcast. And I'm sure it's more than what you guys see on the screen right now. All right. I have like maybe 5 or 6 different podcast shows. This was actually the first one. All right. And this is the first one I started. And then as I went on, because I have other YouTube channels and Facebook pages and Twitter, well, not Twitter, Instagram pages, other shows that I have, I turn those into podcasts as well. And so I know this one has been in the game first, so it's been heavy. And like I said, other people from other countries been listening in. Then it kind of tapered off. So I don't know if it's because of since Spotify now owns Anchor. I don't know if it's their doing. So I don't know what the process is of them reaching out to other people being able to listen, or if it's the countries that have the ability of having people listen to podcasts. I don't know if they're restricting anything being listened to from the U.S. I don't know if that's going on. But shout out to everybody who's watching this, who watches this. I'm gonna figure out a way. I know there's got to be a way to make it to where other people from other countries can see this on YouTube and Facebook. All right. And then I had to look at my analytics as well and see what I can do in regards to that. All right. So let's get into it, man. Today we talking about, again, this is things that young black men should know. And again, I'm your big homie. I'm your unk or your big bro. So you getting it from me. And again, we're going to talk about keep learning, all right? Keep learning. You got to always keep learning, all right? And I'm just going to kind of explain to you why and the benefits of it, and then we're going to get out of here, all right? So as always, you're rocking with the best thoughts of the week. I didn't do an intro the last time, but we're going to get it popping this time. Let's get it.
You know what this is. You're listening to Thoughts of the Week.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. You're rocking with the best thoughts of the week. And we're going to talk about in this series of things young black men should know. And one of those things is keep learning. All right. Let me put that back on the screen. Keep learning. Young black men, you always need to keep learning. All right. Why should you keep learning? Well, you should keep learning, for one, because it can help you in your conversation with people. All right. And I will leave it up to you as far as what you should keep learning, but there's probably some things you should, in particular, learn about. You should learn about finances. You should learn how to manage your money. For those who are in sports, you know, if you're already watching sports, you're already learning who's winning, who's up here, who's in the playoffs, who's doing this. If it's basketball, football, baseball, whatever, what have you. If you guys into the combat sports, you got the UFC, you got boxing. All right, you can always hold conversations with people. I used to be into the basketball and the footballs and sometimes the baseball when I was younger, but I'm not really into those anymore. I might take peeks at it here and there, just see what's going on or check out highlights. And I very rarely do that. I'm more into more than any of the other ones. I'm more into the combat sports, and I'm into that sometimes as well. So I'm not always into the sport thing. But you also should keep learning and put knowledge in your head, man. And again, like I said, part of that will help you in having conversation. And there's so many things you can learn about. You can learn about women. You can learn about um, body language. I already mentioned sports. You can learn about finances. You can just learn things about, even if you don't go to a college or school, you could just learn things about the process or the procedures. That way you can talk to, if you're an older guy, you might be in your mid 20s or older, you could talk to a younger guy. Maybe somebody's going to a college and they're going up to a specific topic. Let's say biology. In biology, there's different areas of biology. There's medicine, biology dealing with medicine. You got marine biology. I think you have something dealing with plants, I believe. There's several subjects in biology. It's the same thing in engineering. There's different types of engineering. You got mechanical engineering. You got, I think the ones that deal, I don't think it's the mechanical that deals with it, but you got software engineering, I think. So even just learning about those, you can have a conversation with somebody. You know, somebody might say, well, hey, I do mechanical engineering. And you might have just read up a little bit on what mechanical engineering is. You can have a conversation with somebody who's taking up mechanical engineering or someone who might already have a degree in it. And you could have a conversation with them and learn some more from that person. And then speaking on that, there's different ways of learning. All right. You can learn from books. You can learn from video. You can learn from audio. You can learn from asking somebody questions. You can learn from, if you want to talk to a doctor, even I spoke in my last episode about staying fit. You can just go and speak to a doctor, just calling them, and maybe somebody will talk to you. You might be able to talk to somebody at a college that deals with medicine or whatever, or dealing with the human body, and you could just ask them questions. Somebody in college, you know, hey, can I speak to a professor that deals with nutrition? And then, you know, maybe somebody will call you, or they'll give a number to where you can call them. And even if you're not going to college, you can ask them some questions. Say, hey, I'm just kind of randomly wanting to learn some things, and not in college and nothing like that, but I just wanted to get some questions answered. You can even learn by interviewing somebody from a college or a doctor. You know, just pick a random doctor and see if you can interview them for your podcast. And you can come up with some questions you can ask them. And then on top of other people watching your podcast and they're learning something, you can go back later and play back your own podcast, whether you do it in video or audio or both. You can go back and either watch it or listen to it and go over the answers they gave. And, you know, you study that way. So I just gave y'all another little nugget on creating content. All right. You can learn about content. Keep learning about that. Different ways you can come up with creating content. You can learn how the brain works. All right. So there's so many things out there you can learn about. Like I was talking about in my other podcast, episode 93, about personal security or personal protection. You can learn more about that. There's so much to learn about personal protection. There's different areas on that in itself. So you can increase your knowledge on that. So always keep learning. All right. You can learn different ways. You can learn. Here's another thing I thought about some time ago when Barack Obama was the president. Now, there's been, people have their issues with him, including myself. I don't think he did good. I'm on the record for saying it. I don't think he did good towards black people as well. But that shouldn't stop you from learning something from him. You can always learn something from him. Even in that realm itself, just talking about that part about whether he done something for black people or not. But I used to watch his interviews, how he would talk in certain interviews and certain speeches. So I would listen to him. Sometimes I'll look at other white people and learn and see how they do their interviews, because you never know where you might be in a situation where somebody, even if it's just a person who wants you to be on their podcast to interview you. All right. You can learn, you can get tips from people who've done interviews and incorporate some of those things into when somebody interviews you. How they carry themselves, how they speak, if a person is trying to really get you off track and trying to set you up, look at interviews where people learn how to not get caught in the traps that people were trying to set them up into. All right. I've watched some interviews with R. Kelly. I don't agree with nothing he did, but I looked at certain things that even he might have done bad in, or he got upset about and didn't handle things a certain way, or it might have been the way to handle it. Might have been, I watched some interviews with Mike Tyson when old ones, when he would just go, people were asking him, trying to be funny and ask him certain questions that wasn't cool. He just flat out cussed them out on camera and just, embarrassed the heck out of them. Then sometimes you might not want to do that. And so you watch interviews. So there's so many ways you can learn. Like I said, you got visual, you got audio, you can actually apply things yourself. All right. Again, you got books you can read as well. And I told you guys where you can get free books on the last podcast 94. If you want to know how to get free PDF books, go back to that podcast and you can learn there. All right. So again, I'm not going to be long on these things. I think I covered everything. I can't think of anything else, but definitely always keep learning and learn as much as you can. Another thing, learn as much as you can about different subjects. Try not to just stick to one. And like I said, a great benefit from that is when you learn a little bit about a lot of different subjects, you are able to hold conversation with people. And then the things that you know, you can talk to them about. And then the things you don't know, you can ask them questions about, or just sit back and listen. And they're telling you some more stuff that you didn't know about a subject that you kind of looked at or learned a little bit about. Now you can add on some stuff some knowledge you didn't know before. You can also go on social media. I didn't add that in there. You look at different people's pages. There's people who do stuff on financial stuff or millionaire stuff, or there's people that's entrepreneurs, and they'll go live sometimes and speak on certain things or give certain tips if you're thinking about entrepreneurship. All right. So you can learn that way as well. Go on social media. There's so many things you can learn. Believe it or not, this is something I left out on because I didn't think about it at the time on the podcast. Was it 93? And I was talking about personal security. You can actually look at animals, and whether it's dogs, whether it's meerkats, whether it's lions, bears, and actually learn something about fighting or aggression or even personal security by watching animal shows. You can actually look at that. Now, I'm gonna give you a pure example. This is something, let me bring my dog here, man. Now, here's something you can. Here's an example. There was a show called, I forget the name, but it had something to dealing with meerkats. I think it was meerkats, and they would show how they would protect each other and their young. You know how they come up in the, I think out the ground, and you would have one or two of them would stand on the highest part of the ground that there possibly was, and they would do nothing there but sit there and turn their head and look around because they were looking for danger. That reminded me of how the Secret Service do. And I don't know if the Secret Service took some cues from that, but it reminded me of watching Secret Service when they protecting the president, or sometimes you'll watch a live event and you'll see them all standing around the plane and waiting for the president to come out, and they're looking around, or by the vehicles. When you watch those meerkats, they're doing similar things. They're sitting there, they're watching, they're looking around, and if something's happening, I guess they'll signal to each other, and then everybody kind of go on the ground if there's some danger, or if there's some birds flying above, or whatever, hawks or eagles. They'll kind of cue everybody in, and everybody kind of just disappear. So you can actually learn things from animals as well. So never limit yourself. Learn to study everything. Learn to be a person that watches wherever you're at. Try to learn something, whether it's good or bad. You can learn something from. You can learn through conversation with people. You can learn by watching people, even in your family, conversating with other family members. Right? You can learn how to conversate with people. Here's another thing you can learn as well. I don't know if this was a episode I was going to do later on. I got to check my notes, but it might have been. You might have difficulty dealing with people at your place of employment, or you might work at an event or something like that. And you have certain types of people, personality types, that kind of get under your skin. Well, you actually have family members that are similar in personality traits with the people that you really don't know. And you might have learned how to deal with, because you might have some family members that think they're better than other family members. And you might have coworkers that act just the same way. Well, if you learn how to deal with the family members that act like that or have that type of mindset, well, you you already learned how to deal with that type of personality. All right. You might have, for the fellas, since we're talking about young black men, you might have dated, or you might have sisters with certain mindsets about men or personality traits, or maybe your sister's dating somebody and you can see how they're acting. And now if you come across a female that you're attracted to, and they might have similar personality traits as your sister or your mother, whatever that personality trait is. I'm not going to say good or bad, but whatever it is, you might, you've seen how they deal with, or you might have the interactions with your own sister. And so you might deal with a woman out that you might find attractive, or just in conversation that has the same attitude as your sister or your aunt or your grandma or your mom. And so you're already learn how to deal with, or you're dealing with those personality traits. And now you run into a woman that might have a similar personality trait, and you already learned how to deal with that. All right. So when you use your brain, you can come up with all types of ways to learn things you can learn about. All right. So I think it's fun for me anyway to just learn different things. And it's to have the mindset of keep learning, and that anything I see, observe, hear, I can learn from it. All right. I watch YouTube videos as well. Like I said, there's times I would look at Barack Obama's interviews or his speeches, or how he dealt with news people in press conferences. I've watched other presidents, how they deal with it. I've watched other public figures and prominent people, what so-called prominent. Not that I'm not to put any of them on a pedestal. Nothing, never do that. But for the aspect of learning, You can learn something from their interview style. You can learn how they deal with people trying to interject some dirt on them and how they deflected it and still got their point across. And maybe it might have been them wanting to promote something, and they're trying to keep the interviewer is trying to keep that person from being able to promote, which was their intention to come on to being interviewed anyway to promote something. And that person might be trying to throw them off with some dirt about something, and they were able to rebound and flip it and turn it back on them and still promote what they were promoting. All right. So it's different things and different ways you can learn for free. And of course, you can buy books as well, and you can get free books. Go back to podcast 94, I believe, and you'll learn where you can get free PDF books. Okay. So always keep learning. All right. Young black men, young boys, always keep learning. All right. No matter what age you are, you can always learn something. If there's certain subjects that you're interested in particular, start with that. Start learning about that. All right. Try to get your mind in the your head in the mindset of learning other things outside of what you're interested in. Just pick up a little bit of something here, a little bit of something there that you didn't know, that you might not have been particularly interested in. You might just been a small bit interested. Take a look at it and pick it up. All right. And learn. But increase your learning. Try to learn about things in different areas. All right. Not just one area. You can focus on that one area, but try to learn other stuff as well. And then get real knowledgeable about that specific area of interest that you're really interested in. So you can be real knowledgeable in that subject and can really teach others, conversate with others, but have the mindset to know a little bit about a lot of things, all right? And then increasing those little bits to a little bit more. And then you will learn a little bit more about a lot of different subjects. All right. So that's it, man. I'm not going to try not to repeat everything. I just wanted to really drive that point in so you guys can get it. All right. And with that being said, man, I appreciate y'all again. I hope you guys are learning something. Comment as always if you're getting it. If you're getting something of value from any of these episodes, man, I definitely appreciate it. Be sure to hit the like button, share with others, because as you may or may not know, there's been this effort to suppress a lot of people's channels, and from people getting knowing that you even have something now, a video, or even if you're live. So sharing is good, and hitting that like button is good, and commenting. All right. Always respond back to them, to the ones that need to be responded back to. Some, sometimes there's some clowns that put out some comments, and if I'm just in the mood, because they're getting real greasy, I might get real greasy back with them. You know what I'm saying? But most times, people who put out comments that is decent comments, I respond to those. All right. Anyway, I'm out of here, man. Until then, we're gonna catch you on the next one on things that young black men should know. And with that being said, you're rocking with the best Thoughts of the Week podcast. I'm gone. Peace.